insert and take items out without having to worry about the cover. Each of these plates takes up space. If you're going to be vacuum packing something that's very small, what you do is you insert these plates inside of the machine, and it makes it so that it doesn't have to suck out so much air. It makes it easier. It's easier on the machine. It'll prolong the life of your machine while allowing you to vacuum pack products more efficiently. Now, each of these plates can be removed depending on how big the item is that you're vacuum packing. This plate here is probably only about 1/4 inch thick, whereas each additional plate is about 1 inch, 1.5 inches thick. We're going to be vacuum packing something that's very small, so I'm going to put all these plates in. And you just drop them down inside. Okay, now you'll notice this chamber, I've got these plates inside, but if I were to take all these out, the depth inside of this chamber is 8.25 inches deep. If you're going to be doing anything bigger than that, you want to take into account that this cover is dome-shaped. Now, if you're going to be doing something slightly bigger than 8.25 inches tall, you're going to run into a problem with it running into the edges around here. That's probably the only problem that we've found with customers that have purchased this in the past, is not taking into account that this chamber top here, this dome top, is curved. Now, this particular unit, the MBS 45, has just one seal bar here. Now, I'm going to be using a bag. The bags look just like this. Now, this particular bag is sealed all the way around and has an opening where you can insert the product. Let me go over the controls for you. There's a red dial here that you're going to want to switch to on, and that activates the machine. There are 9 programs in here that you can program depending on the item that you're going to be vacuum packing. 9 preset functions. Now, as I'm getting ready to do my vacuum packing, there's an S button here for the sealer. I can push this and cycle through all the different features. I'm going to push this once. It's set at 99.9, which means when this machine is running, it is going to suck out 99.9% of the air inside the chamber. And you'll notice here that it's set on the vacuum. It's got several different stages here. Right now it's on vacuum. Now I'm going to push this button again. It's still on the vacuum. Now, what this particular feature does is it allows me to extend the amount of time that it's going to suck that air out. Typically, once the machine gets up to 99.9, it'll stop and the process is over. But if I add 10 on here, I'm going to have it last for an extra 10 seconds at the 99.9% pressure level. That's if you're going to be vacuum packing food that is porous. One item that we recommend extending the time on would be meat. For this demonstration, we're just going to leave that at 0, which is really all that you'll usually ever need to do. Now I'm going to push this again. Now the gas is a feature if you have a gas line or a gas tank hooked up to this machine. If you're going to be vacuum packing potato chips or something that's fragile and you need to leave some air inside, for preservation purposes, you can hook up a nitrogen air tank, for instance. You can shoot a puff of nitrogen air inside of that bag, and that'll help preserve the food even longer. If you're going to vacuum pack the food, leave about 25% of the air inside, and you didn't use nitrogen, you just use oxygen, that leaves a little bit of air in there for bacteria and other items to grow, and will decrease the shelf life of the product. Now, we don't have a gas line hooked up to this, so I'm going to be using just regular oxygen, but I could adjust the gas levels if I had a gas line hooked up to this machine. Now I'm going to push this again. Now this is how long I want the sealing bar to seal the bag. We found that 2 seconds seems to be enough time. Now I could bring that up if I wanted to, but again, like I said, we found that 2 seconds is plenty of time. Now I can push this again, and it sets me back to the program 1. Now this level right here is the air return. We prefer to have this turned up all the way. Basically, this is how quickly, after the vacuum sealing's been done, that the air will return back to the chamber. If I have it turned up all the way, that means it's going to let the air in very quickly. Now, if for some reason I were vacuum packing something, and having that air enter too quickly would crush it, damage it, I could actually turn that down, and that'll decrease the amount of time that the air is let back into that chamber. When you're vacuum packing your food, it's really just a matter of preference. You'll probably want to test a few different items use a few different bags until you get just the right setting for the product that you're going to be vacuum packing. Now I'd like to show you the machine in action. I'm going to turn this all the way back to full air return. I'm going to be using the program 1, 99.9% of the air taken out. I'm not going to extend that. I'm not going to use any gas because I don't have a gas line hooked up. I'm going to have the sealing arm seal that bag for 2 seconds. And now we're back and ready to start. I'm going to be vacuum packing packaging peanuts. This gives you a good idea as to how the machine works, and you can see the plastic actually wrap around those peanuts. Now just to let you know what's happening before I actually start this up, what I do is I'm going to pull this arm down. Now the air will start sucking out of the chamber immediately. After about 2 to 3 seconds, the pressure of the vacuum inside will actually keep this top held down for me. What it'll then do, it's not going to actually suck the air out of the bag, it's going to suck the air out of the entire chamber. Now you've probably noticed with some straight bar vacuum sealing machines, it actually pulls the air out of the bag itself. The nice thing about the chamber, and I think that the chamber does a more effective job, is that it pulls all the air out of the chamber, then it seals the bag, then it returns the air back to normal, but because the bag's already sealed, the normal air returning back into that chamber, and as the atmosphere becomes normal, the bag will wrap around whatever's inside of it. So I'm going to turn this back on. As soon as I pull this arm down, it's going to activate the machine. So I'm going to set this on the table. Now again, this is the sealing area where it's going to seal that bag. Now if I were going to be sealing food, I'd put it in the bag, set it down. Now there are different sized bags available, so if you're going to be doing something bigger, you can get a bigger bag. If you're going to be doing something smaller, you can get a smaller bag. Now the amount of peanuts that I put in here, just about the right size for the bag, but I probably could go just a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to pull this down. It's relatively quiet, but you will hear it as it's being operated. I'm going to bring down this arm now, and as soon as I bring it down, it's going to start sucking the air out of the chamber. Now in a few seconds, I'm going to be able to let go of this. Now it's nearing up on 99.9% now. It's sealing the bag shut, and now it's letting the air back in. And as soon as it's done, the top will open back up. Now you can see that the packaging peanuts have got the plastic wrapped very securely around them. It's sucked out 99.9% of the air, and if this were food, I would now have preserved the life of this product on the shelf. Now I'm going to do one more so that you can actually see the control panel. You'll actually see as it's going through all the steps, the lights will change along this progress readout here. And you'll also see on this readout, as the air is being pulled out, you'll see it actually count up to 99.9%. So I'm going to be doing another bag. Okay, so I'm going to take this arm back down again. You're going to hear the machine activate. And when you actually bring this arm down and you start feeling the air pulling out of the chamber, you'll actually see the chamber really pull down tight. And you'll kind of notice it squish down.